Hi guys, welcome to the Human and the Machine crypto channel, where we talk to the teams developing some of the hottest and newest services in the DeFi space around the world. With me, my co-host Hikaru, aka The Machine, a crypto junkie with a golden, boring brain.
What? And this is T, just a simple human keeping up with the really crazy world of crypto.
Yeah, and we have a reminder, buddy.
So for those of you who are new to our channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button and also like and share content because we have plenty of good stuff coming up.
That's correct. And today we have someone very special. He is the project visionary of Sekuritance. He is a technology expert with a passion for financial solutions and a seasoned high-scale product development leader. RegTech Visionary at Sekuritance, Fintech and Blockchain Specialist. Panel speaker on acquiring, issuing, banking, gateways, AI in fraud monitoring, processing, identity checks, and KYT. With us is Jonathan Bowman. Jonathan, how are you doing? Thank you very much for being in the show. Where are you in the world?
So I'm physically located in Malta this week, and normally spend most of my time between Malta, Ireland, and the UK.
Okay, wonderful. So, how are you doing? Tell us a little bit about yourself because, well, it's all about the people, right? People invest at the end of the day in those that they like. So please let us know about you.
Interesting you say that actually, because one mantra that we always went by in business is people by people first, always.
Correct.
So if you're passionate about what you're doing and if you know what you're talking about, you tend to maybe get the message across much easier. So I'm a software engineer by profession. Went to university, graduated in software engineering in Bachelor of Science at the time. Continued, let's say, my studies in what we call meeting facilitation, helping different teams come together to form, let's say, a requirements for a project. And then at that point, I opened up two companies, one focusing on software development for the oil and gas industry, and the other one for the public sector. Sold those a few years later and then moved into finance. And we started realizing that there is a lot of, even though it sounds very simple, because all you have to do is send a payment, move money from A to B, there's so much to consider in terms of legislation, fraud, checks, availability, eligibility, chargebacks. Like, it was a complete new world, so I got engulfed in it and I absolutely love it. So I spent the last 10 years building credit card solutions, banking systems, virtual IBANs, foreign exchange, chargeback management, fraud detection. So anything basically within the traditional finance, which is not on the investment side, but purely on the transactional side of things. So that's my background.
Very impressive. Very, very nice. And now tell us a little bit about your project, Sekuritance.
So we're very excited about this project for a number of reasons, because primarily it helped us solve problems that we ourselves were having. So within our financial tech solutions, we obviously have a lot of checks to do. We're checking whether the person is eligible to transact, whether he's on any sanctioned list. We're checking if card data, for example, are stolen. We're checking if the cards are known for being fraudulent. We're checking if the devices being used are known for being involved in any scams. So there are so many different checks and balances going on within a 200 millisecond life cycle of a transaction that it's crazy. So, for example, in our business, we do about 168 point check on every single thing happening in that transaction. And then over and above the standard things, you have ruse engines where, for example, you might have a person who is totally capable of transacting and eligible, and his card is okay and his device is okay, but he's trying to be funny. Maybe in your website you have a limit that you shouldn't spend more than $1,000 within a 24-hour period. So the guy tries to use 7 different credit cards with 900 limits each to try and go around certain limitations. So it's not even only about the knowing the person or knowing the card, but it's also what the transaction is allowed to do within your ecosystem for protection against fraud, risk, high chargebacks, a number of different things. So you have your business and it's in your interest to protect it. This spans multiple industries. It can be in pharma, it can be in gaming, can be in everything. I mean, if you have a person going online and buying medicine and it is within a normal amount of medicine for human consumption, for example, then it's all perfectly okay. But if I try and spend $15,000 buying aspirin, there might be a problem. So there might be different rules, for example, that apply to each industry. So it's an amazing industry, amazing. So where does Sekuritance come in? We ourselves, and we thought we are the experts, we realized that controlling our business and keeping it always above board and making it always functional was a real challenge, and we're using about 17, 16 different suppliers giving us bits and pieces, and we're doing a jigsaw puzzle. So this one's checking my identity, this one's checking my card, that one's checking my, my device, and all of them have to literally give you the response within an acceptable time frame. Otherwise, the person doing the transaction will get a timeout error. So it really had to be like spot on. So we said, okay, if we're struggling to do this ourselves, imagine the guys out there that are, like, say, doing their own business and still need to check all these things, what a nightmare it might be. So I said, you know what, let's group all this, let's say, magic together. Some are our own products, some we're using from third parties because they're amazing at what they do. Let's build it all. We'll create our own, let's say, weighted scoring, and then we can basically test it on our own businesses. So that is where Sekuritance basically was born. So it was born out of a need to make sure that our businesses remain afloat, remain compliant, remain basically in check, and protecting it from any potential high risk happening. So that was the inception.
Wow. Okay. So we can say that you, like, a lot of people are doing some of the bits and pieces that Sekuritance is doing, but pretty much you may be the only one that is putting it all together. Am I correct? Would that be the main differentiator between you and anyone else?
Yes, so basically we recognize that there are industry leaders within our niche that are amazing at what they do. They spend a lot of money on research and development and even positioning. And we totally respect them. And in fact, we don't even see them as competitors. We see them as basically partners, because we know what we're good at. And if we think that we are going to come up with a solution which will address the global issues of regulatory compliance, fraud checks, etc., we're dreaming. It's impossible. But we know that within every jurisdiction, for sure, there are experts and there are specialists that have taken the time to research their jurisdiction to try and test their products. And we're telling them, listen, keep your branding, keep your image, keep your APIs, keep your product, even your user interface for customers to interact with. But the integration layer, let's also offer it also, not exclusive. Let's also offer it within our partner network within Sekuritance, because we have an amazing routing engine. So if we get any transactions that need checking, and we know that, for example, our own modules are not that great in this jurisdiction, but our partner is. So we'll route that transaction to that partner, get the result, score it, and give the result. In fact, even since we've been, let's say, in the crypto space, offering our services to projects, many people are, let's say, questioning, like, why is my application on hold? Previously, for example, I used suppliers that would check my application within 6 seconds. So what's going on? There's a big misconception that KYC, a KYC process, is purely, hey, upload a selfie, show me your passport, match a few things, everything matches, whoop, very good, off you go. But that's not KYC at all. That's facial recognition at best, metadata matching, etc. But how do we know, is this person on any sanction list? Did we do any background checks? Does he come up on any adverse media? Has he participated in any scams or any databases that we know of that have highlighted this person? Might be a false negative, might be a false positive. Like, there's so many things that happening in the background that there's always that added level of verification. And I think where many companies stop is they stop at the automation. You give them data, they give you a score. Okay, but if you have a team of 3 people, how are you going to interpret that score? Which means that you need to invest now in a compliance team, in a risk team. So we come with that team as well. We're telling you, listen, this is your business, your data. We're going to do the automation, that's fine. Give me the rules, or the rules of engagement that you want me to abide with. For example, listen, check this person, but also I can't deal with these jurisdictions. Okay. Or if the photo was altered in some way, opened in Photoshop, saved a different image, fail it. Yeah. So we get those rules of engagement and we interact. Okay. So that is where I think we're adding quite a lot of different mechanics into the solution.
Great, fantastic. Any questions, Machine?
Yeah, I'm just thinking about all of this. There is a lot of moving parts, right? And I'm just coming in from the user perspective because here's an example. You know, I open an exchange, for example, I do KYC. I open another account on a different website, do a KYC. Now, in 1 year, how many KYCs have I done? I lose track. So, for Sekuritance, right, would it be possible if I just do KYC once on Sekuritance? And all the partners that are secured with, or partner with Sekuritance, can I just tell them, hey, guys, check my profile in Sekuritance with one button? Is that possible?
So it's a very interesting concept, and actually it's exactly what we have already. So right now, for example, we're seeing it even in, let's say, we're supporting a number of launch pads and new projects themselves, and we're realizing that a number of, let's say, these participants are taking part in more and more launch pads as they go along. So it's ironic that, for example, in the world today, we have a lot of push for GDPR and protection of data, etc. But at the same time, as you mentioned, you're probably doing KYC 6 to 7 times a week and your data is all over the place. You know, my passport front, back is I don't know in how many different companies, and I don't even know who I gave it to. Because I'll be doing an application, they'll tell me, oh, by the way, you need to send me this. Okay. So what Sekuritance is already doing, and in fact the user interface of which is about to be pushed out to the audience shortly, is when you do a KYC with Sekuritance, it might or it might not be, for example, done within a certain limit. So sometimes you have a launch, and the launch is within 12 hours. If you're lucky enough that everything got screened in time, you're good. Most of them get screened within, whatever, 2 to 5 seconds. But if it goes into manual escalation, there are teams that need to do more checks. So that's happening. It's KYC is not time dependent. There are manual teams doing a lot of stuff. But once you get verified, then you are verified. You're there. We know who you are. We know everything about you. Unless our ongoing AML compliance, which we call continuous compliance program, comes up with, oh, by the way, this person showed up in this site, or this person showed up on this list, etc. So that record keeps active for a certain period of time. There's an automation in there. And after a certain time, it basically rechecks. So it will ask you, listen, we might need to recheck this because a time lag passed. Or maybe a person got married, changed surname, whatever. But the best part is that you will have the option not only to go into a user interface and check what your status of that application is, but you will also have an option to, one, see where your data went in the past. You might say, oh yes, 12 months ago I was applying for a bank account, they asked to check my data, this is the record. And if you enable it, we're putting in a notification service, where if you enable it on the Sekuritance side, any partner that's involved in Sekuritance and would like to check your data, you might get a notification saying, oh, by the way, this company is checking on you. Like, are you okay with this or no? Yes. And you can decide yes or no. And that is for launchpads. Now, when it comes, for example, to things like credit card information, you might give us a yes or a no as a cap. Because in a credit card, you have 200 milliseconds and you won't have time to get the email or not. So, but at least you know where your data is being checked because you own it. That is yours.
Okay, so yeah, we were talking about that sometimes all this is just very business to business, but you were actually talking about things that can benefit the average person. We normally, like, as individuals, it's kind of like we're moving, you know, like between monsters, right? And no one cares about us. Like you say, like, I don't know who requested information from me, who sent, you know, like, where is at all my information, right? So I like that you have that. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you can do?
Yes, for sure. I mean, we believe that even though it is in the business's right to obviously check stuff to make sure that they are protected, they're doing things the right way, etc., at the end of the day, it is the individual's right as well to decide whether he wants to give that information or not. So when you're applying, for example, for a bank account, for a credit card, for a new service, for an exchange, yes, the exchange has the right to ask this information because they need to protect their laws and their regulation. But you might have to say, you know what, yeah, is that important for me that I need to give these guys my passport information? No, I don't want to deal with this stuff anymore. So basically, you will have at least a record of who checked on you in the past, as long as obviously you've been with our platform, who's checking on you, and if it is, let's say, an ongoing procedure, it's not time sensitive, you will get a request, yes, I would like to send this information to the bank, yes, no, I would not like to do that. That's number one. 3, you have the right to basically delete anything that we have about you. So we will always have to retain the check, obviously for compliance and audit purposes, but we will not accept any more verifications on your regard. And if a new request comes in, we'll send you another email or another link, and you'll have to do it from scratch. So you have basically the right to be forgotten, if you want to call it that way, basically, on the system. And what we're getting a lot, we've always got it, right? Because the industry we're in is not one that many people like. It is a necessary, let's say, tool. It's necessary, but not many people like the fact that we are checking if you're okay to participate or not. Some people will tell us, hey, you know what, like, what is this? I've always passed everything. Why am I failing with your system? It's entirely possible, because obviously we know what checks we do, and we don't want to speak on behalf of others, but maybe the checks they do are different or have different algorithms or whatever. But we have a process, we check against our database, and when something comes up, we need to check it. That is the professionalism and the seriousness of the application. If, for example, we're doing within a weekend, sometimes we get about 16,000 individuals that need to be checked within 48 hours. So automation does a good percentage of them, let's say 78%. Then you're always going to get, for example, the odd one out that forgot to remove his hat, forgot to remove his glasses, for example, had an expiry date which is in the past, or an issue date which is in the future, or stuff that doesn't match. So automatically, for example, the automation puts it to the side, and then compliance comes in. So from an individual's point of view, we have basically dashboards which are going to be released, because obviously we're in the beginning of the UI, let's say, provision here. But you'd be able to go and say, okay, what level and what status is my KYC and where is it? It went into manual escalation. Okay. Yes, I got an email from compliance. Okay, it's matching, it didn't come out of the blue. So we're putting in a whole suite for the individual there.
Nice.
But also when it comes to where can we use it in practice, is most of what we discussed so far is the individual providing information for a business to operate. Now we're looking at it from a customer point of view. So what can I do with Sekuritance for my own benefit? Maybe I have an apartment, I'm renting it out. I want to check my tenant to make sure that he's okay and I can trust him. So maybe there are credit checks if we have, for example, in certain jurisdictions in the world we have credit check services. Maybe we're just doing due diligence on this person. Maybe I have, for example, private keys on something that normally I store in one password. Today I want to use, for example, the data tokenization vault, where basically rubbish in, rubbish out, and you get a GUID back. Maybe you want to use, for example, you have a website and you're selling stuff online, and you want to put in, for example, some card payment processors with additional security. So we're bringing all this sort of into one place, not only for the business and also for the individual. But on top of that, what we're saying is, rather than just use us to contract, to consume, to transact, etc., we have a massive B2B and affiliate management program where if you are a user of the platform and if you are an active evangelist of the platform and a Skirt token holder, you also automatically get enrolled into our affiliate program. So any business you refer into the company, any new products coming on, any new merchants coming on, if you invited software development, you're obviously being rewarded in our token economy as well. So there's quite a lot coming up in that respect.
Very nice.
Yeah. And it sounds like a very scalable, business model. That being said, right, like I would say this year, what kind of particular partners or user bases, would you like to see grow in your ecosystem?
So, right, before basically we came into this space, our traditional partners were normally, apart from the infrastructure ones, because those are, let's say, the standard, we have the security auditors, the penetration hackers, and all those that basically make sure that we are basically doing what we say we're doing in a secure way. Normally, our standard partners would be, for example, people offering anything within the RegTech and RiskTech space. So these are people, for example, who are providing anything within their niche that can make the industry safer, basically. Then we have another level of partners, which normally are going to be financial institutions. You have all the banks, the mortgage companies, you have the exchanges. Nowadays, you have launch pads, new token projects. So there's quite a plethora of different, let's say, businesses that we believe need a suite of products like this. So when I look at, for example, the crypto space and I see a lot of the projects coming up, I think a good majority of them are, let's say, focused in the crypto space. So there's focused on the decentralized finance, the movement of money, the, let's say, anonymous transaction type of sort of mechanisms. But when we're looking at Sekuritance and we're saying, okay, both industries need to coexist. That is the reality. People are moving money from the real world into the virtual world and back, making money some here, buying houses and cars, etc. So the two financial realms have to basically coexist.
Correct.
And because they need to coexist, there has to be a level of standardization into how can I make sure that these are legit funds? How can I make sure that this person didn't make his money by scamming others? So there are a number of things that the traditional finance world is still trying to catch up with, and with good reason, because they're used to a certain process, and obviously crypto disrupts that. So what we're trying to give is a bridge between those two and an educational phase. So if, for example, I did do money in a particular crypto investment, maybe I was speculating on a project as an individual. So if I go to my bank and I say, yes, I know that you're not really sure about this or how it works or what the source of funds is, etc. But what I can tell you is I have my KYC certificate. I am who I say I am, but you can do your checks. This is the wallet that I want to fund my new house purchase with. And I have a confirmation that it has not been seen on any darknet, not involved in any scams, etc. I also have a certificate showing you that basically I control this wallet. It's mine, basically, because I did a few steps and I have it there. So that is the best I can give you for this wallet. So do your own checks, do your own things, but unless you come up with something else, there shouldn't be any reason why my purchase should be basically disallowed or disencouraged, etc. So we're trying to, let's say, help individuals bridge that gap.
Got it. Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot to do, but like you said, it's definitely needed. So the question is, how can we best do it right? That makes sense for the users. Yeah, easy for the partners. Absolutely.
I mean, we ourselves are definitely in a learning curve, right? So we've always done things in a certain way. For example, even when it used to come, for example, to initial questions around pricing, some people used to tell me, like our KYC used to cost like 25p. And yours is costing in excess of $1 and sometimes more. Like, why is that, Of course, like I like to say, if you pay peanuts, you always get monkeys. But the reality is that there are so many different things that you can consider as a KYC. I can do KYC by saying, hey, I got your passport. It doesn't look fake. Your face matches. You took a selfie. It matches. Okay, KYC done. Yeah, but will that protect you in a court of law if you've done or sold something wrong? No. Did you check the age of this person, nationality, maybe country of residence? Is he allowed to buy this product in the country of residence where he physically is right now? There are so many different things that actually involve due diligence. It's not just I see a passport and match a date. There's a lot in the background. So there's also an educational level here. It's when you're asking for these services, we're trying to educate you on what do you actually want to protect in your business? This is what we can give you. This is what you can get. But are you ready to do that? Do you want to take the risk? Are you happy with just confirming that a person is alive and matches all your basic points within a thing? So it's really an educational curve for the whole industry.
Right. And you keep talking about education, and you keep talking about well, in a way, you are empowering people. If they want to, you can definitely, you're giving them the tools, right? So besides that, how else, how can the community become more involved with your platform?
I love this question because most of what we've built so far, we've built it through our own experience and our own exposure, and mostly within our own little niche in our, let's say, businesses and merchants that we dealt with. And we do have like a solid roadmap. We have an 18-month actually roadmap. We already put it on our white paper. We actually give weekly updates to the community. Coincidentally, we gave one this morning as well on where we are and where we're headed. But we obviously understand that this is what we are seeing as our direction. Whereas now that we have, I think, a very good growing community, because obviously there is a lot of room to grow, but we have a growing community and we are getting feedback on, listen, hey, this you might want to do a bit differently because in this space, for example, we're used to this way of doing it. So we are actually incentivizing people to give us this feedback. In all honesty, we haven't yet devised the right medium on how this feedback should come back to us. So we're getting a lot of suggestions on email. Sometimes we get something on Discord, sometimes we get on Telegram. And when our, let's say, community moderators find it, they take note and they send it to us. But actually, probably sometime this week or next week, we are sitting down as a team and coming up with a very basic solution. We'll probably find one online to take in suggestions and feedback from the community. We obviously are already devising a plan that all the feedback that comes in from the community, all the, let's say, ideas that are taken up or are sound will get rewarded in some way, because we want to incentivize that community to do it. So if you put in a good idea, but we don't implement it, you will still get something basically as a token of appreciation for your ideas. And if you put in a suggestion and we do decide to take it on and roll it out, then you obviously get a higher reward because we decided to take that onto the roadmap. And sometimes we might have features which we put a year ahead. For example, we're going to develop it that year. And the community or our merchants might tell us, listen, it's good you have it on the roadmap, but useless doing it in a year because we would have missed the boat on this. So how about we bring this part forward and push this backward? So we operate obviously a very agile framework, even when we're developing our own internal products. That's my background. So apart from software engineering, I used to specialize in a methodology called DSDM, which was a sort of like a rapid application development sort of type of methodology. And we're always taking in feedback, reiterating the roadmap, and basically trying to deliver what the community wants.
Fantastic. And do you have anything interesting that you want to like share with the community? Anything that has happened recently that you want to share? Any hot announcements? It's your time.
Yes, for sure. I mean, it's a hot subject, but it sort of it drives the point home to us as well. So we had developed a function where we're inviting people to obviously basically alert us of any fraud or scams that they ever basically fell for, or took part in without knowing, or any rug pulls or scammed projects or duplicated projects or whatever. And unfortunately, even within our own launch, we also found fraudsters that were trying to dupe people into looking at the wrong contracts, putting up fake websites and stuff like that. Wow. And it hurts us, because we're trying to obviously do something for the community, and we're trying to make sort of a better place, both for the crypto entrepreneurs and also for the regulators and for the individuals themselves. And when you see that sort of there are still people trying to, let's say, prey on the less experienced participant, it hurts, because you find people that honestly wanted, let's say, to support your direction and still fell prey for something else. So it's a very tough point for us. Yeah. Ironically, we do have, let's say, this functionality where we're asking people, and in fact, we will make it more publicly available, and we'll show them how to do it properly, etc. Where we're asking them, listen, register, tell us everything you know about it. We have no guarantee we're going to get your funds back, of course, but we will take down everything we know about this. Who you spoke to, what Telegram, what website was it, what contract address did you do, what was your transaction hash. We'll try and basically get as much information, and then we'll give this information. We're not even going to sell it. We'll give this information basically to exchanges, etc., out there that want to, let's say, scan against these fraudulent people to try and stop these things at source, Because at some point in time, obviously, scammers will use mixers. They will use exchanges to try and flip their coins, etc. And if we try and stop it at there, at least we can get some more satisfaction that people are not going to enjoy their illicitly gained funds. But it's a hurtful point, We don't like seeing anybody get duped.
And you know what? I love that. I believe you. Like when you speak, it's not the sales pitch. I hear a man that does have a passion for what he's doing, and I love that. Right? Actually, the channel, right, is human and machine, because everything crypto, everything DeFi feels so machine-like. It's like so disengaged from the human experience, right? But listening to you, I feel motivated. I feel happy, man, like to hear that what you're doing and the passion that comes, like it's pushing forward your project. So unfortunately, we're run out of time, but we would like to have you in the next 3 months and 6 months and, around that 6, 9, 12 months, because we want to make sure that we follow the projects that we present. We're not just showcasing, right? Like, oh, look at this, invest a lot. No, we actually want to follow up and see, like how you guys evolve. Even see some of the projects we will see, like see them not succeeding, right? But we will see others succeeding. We're sure yours will. I mean, I speak for myself, and later we will recap a little bit. But I hope you take the invitation, and we can talk in 3 months. Yep. And thank you very much. Anything else you want to say, Machine?
That is a lot of learning for me. And also for the human as well.
Even more, yeah. Jonathan, thank you very much for your time, and all the best, and keep it up, man. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye. Okay, so let's keep going.
So it's recording? Okay, we can just record on here.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah, Mr. Human, what did you think?
Just as I finished the conversation, right?
Yeah.
I like him. Actually, he's a very likable person, right? So that's one thing that, sometimes you talk to different people, and they're great, they're professional, but in this environment, they lack that humanity that Jonathan has plenty of.
Right. Exactly. That's what I was thinking, because before this conversation, when I thought RegTech, right, KYC, it's always a scary thing. That's one way, terrible user experience, and it's like, but now I'm starting to think, okay, it's not so bad, right? It's more collaborative, and it doesn't have to be that way. So
yeah. At least he really makes you feel like he cares, right? And I like that he's giving back power to the people, which is so important, because nowadays you click stuff, the contracts, everything you click and you allow in the computer, you better do it, because it's like 3,000 or 5,000 words document that you will not understand most of it, right?
Right.
And this guy actually wants to give you back the power and have a saying in your digital life.
Exactly. Like you said, regulation is not something people like per se, but you need it. So the question is, whether we have it or not, but how do we implement it, right?
Yeah.
And I like this circular way of thinking where everyone's involved, which I like, rather than just one way.
Yeah. I like his approach. We know, because you checked and we checked, the technology is really, really sound. So he'll do fine, right? Every project needs him. Pretty much almost anything in the world needs what he's doing.
That's exactly why. Exactly. So RegTech is a huge umbrella. And of course, it's going to take years to develop, but I'm pretty excited to see, what kind of developments we see.
Yeah.
Because the industry is also evolving. So like you said, everything's a learning process.
Yeah.
So, we can't exactly predict it.
No.
But yeah, 3-6 months, I would love to follow up.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Bro, thank you very much for everything. And the reminder.
So subscribe, like, and share.
Yeah, that's correct. Thank you very much once again, guys, and see you on the next interview of The Human and the Machine. Thank you very much. Have a beautiful day.
Bye, guys.
Bye.